levee is breached, 2 levees are breached, and now water is actually pouring into the city, and water is surrounding us. The backup generators kicked in, minimal lighting. From there, chaos within the Superdome and the people, because now you have no air, limited resources. So from there, things got really real. We tried to calm the savage beast. You hate to call the people, the beast, but being destitute, desolate, that's what they became. You can't blame them. They had nothing. They had babies crying, diapers. We have to get out the Superdome because we have weapons. It's dark. Fall back to where we know, and that was our vehicles. We had to protect number one. And from protecting number one, we also had to protect the people from each other and from other outside sources. We heard that the buses were coming, they never came. The buses were coming, they never came. The buses were coming, they finally came. We had to usher people onto these buses, leaving behind family members, leaving behind kids, and that was horrible. After getting people out of the Superdome, you see the carnage, you see the chairs, you see all the debris that they left behind, and all you can say is, did I just go through that?
People that Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance, so you only pay for what you need, and you gotta do it fast.
Woo! 34 miles per hour! New personal record, Limu!
He'll be back. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I came to New York to attend NYU to study music business. Yeah, I was 16 years old. I turned 17 shortly thereafter, but when I arrived in August of 2001, I was 16 years old. Of course, 9/11 happened just I believe my second week of classes, so that colors the memories of that time. But it was overwhelming in general. I mean, I was on my own. I went to go see Michael Jackson on September 10th. And I was starting classes. I was responsible for getting myself to classes every single day. It was definitely overwhelming. I came to New York University to study music business, and part of the reason that I was so interested in music business was because I'd been such a big fan of Michael Jackson. Not only of his music and his dance and all that, which is incredible, but also of his business acumen. So I came to NYU knowing so much about publishing and royalty rates and things like that because I had studied all of his business deals. Our first week of classes, we had this program meeting that we would do, which they were weekly assemblies where everybody in our major would get together and discuss things that were happening in the industry. We would have speakers come in from, various record labels, or NARAS, which, works with the Grammys and different songwriters, things like that. It was a time to come together and really assess the landscape of the music business. And the very first program meeting, I was introducing myself to the group as a whole, and I don't remember if I was running for some sort of representative position or if I just wanted to introduce myself for whatever reason. But I was wearing a Jackson's Victory Tour t-shirt, and it was vintage. I just bought it in the Village. And a young man came up to me and told me that he liked my shirt, and that young man turned out to be Jordan Chandler.
I have on the phone with me investigative journalist Charles Thompson, who is the winner of 6 national awards for his recent investigative work exposing the Shrewsbury pedophile ring. So Charles, you've sat in on a lot of pedophile cases. What would you say are the main differences between the cases that you've sat in on and the Michael Jackson case?
Of course, the first difference is that the cases I've covered were all criminal cases where there was no real financial incentive to make an allegation, so the motive of seeking millions of dollars is removed. And then in the cases where we see convictions that I've been sitting in, you had victims who were credible, who were consistent, and that's never been the case in the allegations against Michael Jackson. They've never been consistent. They've always turned out to be perjurers and people who were just looking for a payout.
Michael Jackson was one of the most famous people on the planet. It turns out he was also the target of intensive FBI scrutiny.
I've also read that you have extensively studied the Michael Jackson FBI files. What were the findings of the FBI files, and were child porn ever discovered at Neverland?
No child porn was ever found at Neverland, and in fact there was a story that said child porn had been found around the time of the trial. So the judge and the prosecutor both released a stipulation publicly, which was that no child pornography was ever found at Neverland or at any of Michael Jackson's properties. So that's not just something that the fans say, that's the judge in the trial, and even the prosecutor said that there was no child porn. In terms of what the FBI files tell us, what they tell us is that for over a decade the FBI was intermittently involved in investigating Michael Jackson. There's no evidence of sustained surveillance or sustained investigation, only of the authorities occasionally calling the FBI to assist them with their own investigations, but nonetheless, the files tell us that more than 20 different FBI departments investigated Michael Jackson at one time or another, and none of them found any evidence of any wrongdoing. Perhaps the most compelling piece of information that came out of those files was that when the prosecutors in the 2003-5 Arvizo case sent away all of the computers that they seized at Neverland to the FBI for analysis, the FBI was unable to find anything incriminating on a single one of them. So the FBI files don't exonerate Michael Jackson, but they certainly don't incriminate him.
In 2005, there was a study done by ABC with the top psychiatrists in the country, and they've all concluded that Michael Jackson's behavior would be very rare amongst pedophiles. There are other psychologists and psychiatrists who echo that belief.
Derselbe Vater hat noch vor 2 Jahren im Interview gesagt, es hätte seinem Sohn nicht geschadet und Eltern sollten ihre Kinder ruhig öfter schlagen, und immerhin hätte er seinen Sohn so geschlagen, dass er jetzt eben die Nummer 1 im Pop-Business gewesen wäre. Vor diesem Vater hat er Angst gehabt. Auf der anderen Seite hat er immer die Liebe seines Vaters gesucht, und derselbe Vater hat sich über sein Gesicht, über seine Akne, über seine Nase mokiert. Und er wollte dem Vater gefallen. Man würde sagen, eigentlich perverserweise oder paradoxerweise, weil er hat ja Angst gehabt, aber er hat die Liebe des Vaters nie bekommen, und dieser Liebe läuft er zeitlebens hinterher, und was er jetzt macht, ist, dass er Kinder um sich sammelt, selber Kinder haben will, um eigentlich diesen Kindern Vater zu sein. Er ist also Kind und Vater in einer Person, und das, was er mit den Kindern macht, macht er eigentlich mit sich selber. Also im Herzen eigentlich ein ganz reiner, ein ganz guter, ein ganz gutmütiger, ein ganz naiver Mensch.
Someone who is always trying to dispute that notion is a man named Jim Clemente. Jim Clemente, to this day, believes that Michael Jackson does fit the profile of a pedophile, and that Michael Jackson did have child porn at Neverland.
They also found images, and I think they were of a photo shoot with Michael Jackson's nephew, Taj. I think he was still a teenager. And there's a picture that's on the internet that it's a picture of Michael. Can you see that?
Oh my, yes, yes.
So there are pictures in this series where he's actually grabbing that cloth and trying to rip it off him, laughing and joking and trying to get him naked. And he's virtually naked in this picture. This is his nephew, this 40-something-year-old man. And why is he posing in a picture where Michael's shirt is open, exposing his chest, and this kid's chest, he's
basically naked.
Upper body is basically naked. He's got no underwear on, right next to Michael Jackson. It's disgusting.
My name is Taj Jackson. I'm the nephew of Michael Jackson. I know it's not going to be put to rest, but I hope that it's really put to rest, because these pictures have been circulating. These pictures are annoying that they're circulating. We sued one of the tabloids because they said that they were child pornography, and we had them retract that, because that's not what they were. They were for an album. They were for a single cover. Why? Michael was doing the music video for A Stranger in Moscow at the time, and we came down to visit him, but also we were like, let's take this opportunity, since we're all here, let's do the Y photo shoot as well. There was wardrobe, there was a camera director, there was makeup. We wanted to do something edgy for our Y photo shoot. We wanted the guys and the girls, and we thought we were too cute, as 3T, like too saccharine, and we wanted to have some edge, something to us. It's frustrating because this is what they do all the time in this way. Luckily, I was involved in it. This was my younger brother, TJ. If he was here, he'd be even probably more upset than I am right now. Like, it's implied that TJ was clueless, or TJ didn't know what was going on. TJ was very aware of what's going on. TJ wanted him to go farther. I was uncomfortable taking off my shirt, and so I didn't have to take off my shirt. It was never like he said, no, you take off your shirt and you do this and that. It was whatever we wanted to do, because we wanted to be edgy. And it worked, because people are talking about it. Now, unfortunately, they're trying to dirty it, but it was edgy. He mentioned that, Michael's laughing, and that, because we were joking. For us, we wanted to do something edgy. But we always laughed when we were around my uncle, and he laughed when he was around us. And so that should tell you something, that there was no tension. You're not seeing our faces like we don't want to do this or whatever, because we were pushing him to do this. It makes me feel angry, to be honest, just because that photo shoot was a